Hello there. Welcome back to Table Smash Tuesday. I'm Jake Varco, and this is the Bills Bunker. We're live for another Table Smash Tuesday, and we're right here. First Table Smash Tuesday of June, and we've got an interesting discussion today. We're going to talk about the future of the Buffalo Bills and what it's going to look like, why it's a promising future for the Buffalo Bills. Before we do that, there's some news to cover. I'd just like to welcome everyone back to the show. It's time for the intro. I'll see you on the other side. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Look at this. Look at this crowd. Look at this.
Yes, it makes us wanna shout. Shout.
1, 2, 3, 4 years in a row. AFC's champion. It's our division. Let's go.
This guy's shirtless. He's walking in.
Let's go.
That's a nice show for you. Look at it. Beautiful. Honestly, one of the best things I've seen all night. Those fireworks right there.
All right, here we go. The train horns have sounded off. We're live right here, Table Smash Tuesday, the first show of the month of June. And today, clearly, like I just said, first week of June, we're still a couple months away from football. Even the preseason doesn't kick off for the Buffalo Bills until August 10th. Right now, they're in mini camp. There's been some news surrounding the National Football League. Like we saw Justin Jefferson have a big-time contract extension with the Minnesota Vikings, $140 million. We saw the Buffalo Bills sign a wrestler this week. We've seen some interesting stuff happen here. CeeDee Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys, he's holding out. T. Higgins in the same boat. But today, right now, if you're looking around the world of sports, the two main stories in the world of sports right now, without a doubt, are the NBA Finals, which are quickly approaching. They begin on Thursday. And then the Stanley Cup Finals begin on Saturday night when the Edmonton Oilers will take the ice against the Florida Panthers. And, you know, the Florida Panthers, Buffalo Sabres, they're in the same conference. And typically if you're a hockey fan watching the finals, or even if you're a NFL fan and say the Kansas City Chiefs were going up against San Francisco in the finals, you'd usually root for the team from the other conference. But Edmonton Oilers, their head coach, had an interesting comment today about the Buffalo Bills, and I feel like it was really unnecessary. Here's what he had to say.
Experience is good. I don't know how much experience is, beneficial. You can ask the Buffalo Bills how important Super Bowl experience is. But I think the biggest thing is just having confidence to play. And, when our guys are playing their best, they should have a lot of confidence.
So interesting. Chris Coblack, the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, and I guess he has a point. So for some context, so for anyone that might not be too familiar with what's going on in the National Hockey League, the Edmonton Oilers, they've made their first Stanley Cup Finals appearance in quite some time right here this year, since 2006. The Florida Panthers, they went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, fell victim to the Vegas Golden Knights. And Florida making their second straight appearance. They're hoping not to lose again. They're hoping to hoist the Stanley Cup this year. With that being said, Chris Coblack mentions that the Buffalo Bills, that was out of nowhere, just coming out of left field, mentioning the Buffalo Bills and how they lost 4 straight Super Bowls in the 90s. That's a crazy reference that he made there. And I have a feeling that a lot of Buffalo sports fans will now be rooting for the Florida Panthers and their former captain, Kyle Okposo, to hoist the Stanley Cup instead of the Edmonton Oilers, who play in the Western Conference. But I'm curious to know, who are you rooting for in the Stanley Cup Finals. I think that's going to be a really great matchup. Florida, I think, has the edge. They're the better all-around team than the Edmonton Oilers. But Edmonton, they weren't in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. So while they lack that experience, they may have less fatigue because they haven't been playing for as long in this last year or so. But it'll be an interesting matchup for sure. Edmonton's more of a top-heavy lineup with two of the best players in the world, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, but all around, Florida seems to be the better team. Christopher says, that was a low blow. Florida, rooting for the Cats. Yeah, I get the sense that a lot of Bills Mafia will now be rooting for the Florida Panthers and their former veteran player, Kyle Okposo. John Robert on Facebook. Yeah, so anyone that doesn't know Facebook, I started a new Facebook page recently. Just been getting the content out there, and I'm now doing live streams that were exclusively on YouTube. Now I'm also streaming them on Facebook. Says all the rookies are signed except for Keon Coleman. And yes, this is true. Keon Coleman, I'm not putting too much thought into this. Like, it's not a big concern for me. I'm anticipating a deal will get done eventually, but we'll see. Keon Coleman, he's an exciting young player, and I'm excited to see what he brings to the table for the Buffalo Bills next season. And as I mentioned, the future of Buffalo Bills football is the topic of discussion in this show today. So we'll cover that and a lot more, but had to mention about Chris Koblak, the Edmonton Oilers head coach, his comments. Very, very interesting stuff. Definitely a low blow to Bills Mafia and seems a bit unnecessary. Maybe a bit of bad voodoo going the way of the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, you don't want to give the other team bulletin board material. We talk about bulletin board material in sports so often. And for people that watch hockey, they'd know that Matthew Tkachuk, he doesn't need any more motivation. You just gave the Florida Panthers more motivation. You dug a little deep, mentioning how they lost in the Stanley Cup Finals last year, and you basically referred to them as the Bills of the 90s. Low blow to Bills Mafia. Definitely made some more enemies along the way. So it's interesting to see that cross-sport reference, and it just seems so unnecessary. Coleman is a vertical threat only. Otherwise, he's overrated. Interesting thought. Sledge Hockey says, go Oilers. Keon Coleman, vertical threat only. I mean, he's a physical wide receiver, basketball background. We'll talk about him later on in the show. And John Roberts says, I'm not worried about Keon Coleman, just an FYI. Yeah, there's no real reason to be worried about Keon Coleman. What's he going to do? Hold that. I don't see a scenario like that unfolding here. But before we talk about the future of the Buffalo Bills, there's another former player that we heard make some comments today about the Buffalo Bills. And that former Bills player is none other than Stefan Diggs. He had his introductory press conference with the Houston Texans today. Here's what he had to say about Josh Allen when asked about what contributions Josh Allen made to his success over the last 4 seasons in Buffalo.
Josh Allen said that you were very instrumental into making him the quarterback that he was, that he is now. How instrumental do you think Josh was to helping you elevate to the next level of receiver that you ended up becoming?
I feel like he was a intricate piece in my career because at that point, when I left Minnesota or whatever, I presume I was a good player, you know what I'm saying, but I always felt more for myself. I felt like I was better than that, that I could be better than that. And I kind of, up to that point, I was just like, shit, I'm going to roll the dice and bet on myself, you know what I'm saying? And they sent me to Buffalo. I don't know if they sent me to Buffalo with the most kindest, with the most great intent, but all's well ends well. When I got to Buffalo, Josh is still my guy, you know what I'm saying? People don't really understand what it's like to be out there, you know what I'm saying? And he really embraced me, you know what I'm saying? He kind of had that Southern hospitality, you know what I'm saying? So for me, he embraced me. We spent a lot of time, and I probably wouldn't be right here if it wasn't for him. So, I got a lot of love for that boy. So y'all give him a hug and a kiss for me.
Interesting stuff from Stefan Diggs in his introductory press conference with the Houston Texans. And really, I'm trying to figure out what the key takeaways from this is. Like, we don't know. We're not in the locker room. We can only speculate from the outside about what the relationship between Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen is. But when you look back at some of the X posts that we saw with Stephon Diggs, really, Josh Allen's not posting any cryptic X posts, but we see Stephon Diggs go out there, say stuff like ready for whatever, or we saw him earlier with the reply to the Peaky Pirate earlier this offseason, and what seemed to be the final nail in the coffin in the whole Diggs saga when he said, "You sure?" to an X post that basically said, is Stephon Diggs necessary for Josh Allen to succeed? No. Does he help? Yes. And Diggs said, "You sure?" So it's really hard to really read in between the lines here. I'm not sure exactly what to take away from Stephon Diggs and his comments here, but what I will say is that his 4 best seasons in the National Football League were with the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen under center. We've even seen Trevon Diggs tweeting, "Man, 14, got to get up out of there. Don't forget, Josh Allen didn't start going off till little bro got there." Like, it was some interesting stuff. And honestly, I'm just happy to put that chapter behind us here in Buffalo. The Buffalo Bills, they can finally put all that drama behind them. They'll meet up with Stephon Diggs in week 5. And love him or hate him, it's going to be an interesting matchup, that's for sure. That's a game that I'll be going to, NRG Stadium down in Houston. I'm beyond excited for that game, and I have plenty of content being released there. I'm also doing another away game this season in Seattle, going all the way out west over a few different time zones. Plenty of content coming your way all season long. So make sure, if you haven't yet, click subscribe. Stay tuned for all that great stuff. My reaction videos, they're going to be really fun next season. I've got a lot of fun content planned here. Christopher. Okay, see, this is where Bills Mafia split. Christopher says, "I still have love for Diggs." And I understand that. Stephon Diggs, don't get it twisted. He was clearly a really solid contributor for the Buffalo Bills over the last 4 seasons. There's no denying that. Did he come with drama? Yes. Sophia, on the other hand, says, "Diggs is dead to me." See? And that's something that that was a reference made after Saquon Barkley signed with the Philadelphia Eagles this offseason after he was a longtime member of the Giants. So, see, Bills Mafia is really split on Stephon Diggs. I've got a Diggs jersey, and I have no idea what to do with it. It's not something that I'll be wearing, but it's definitely a split between the love him or hate him. It'll be interesting to see the reception that he gets his first time back in Buffalo, and I'm really excited to see how Bills Mafia goes down to Houston and what the crowd reaction is to Stephon Diggs whenever he catches a ball. John Roberts says, "Facebook, share, and like." Thank you very much, Robert. Yes, for anyone watching on Facebook or YouTube, share, like, subscribe, follow, whatever it is. Helps out the channel and the Facebook page in a big time way. If you haven't yet, I encourage you, click like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more content coming your way right here on the Bills Bunker. And I did actually have an opportunity to go to the Bills Stadium on a tour earlier this offseason. And here's my little, here's what I did. Just want to encourage everyone, make sure you click subscribe on the Bills Bunker YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more great content coming your way. It's going to be a great season filled with plenty of content. Be there or be square. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? In the words of the legendary head coach Marv Levy of the 1990s Buffalo Bills. Christopher says, "I still have my Diggs jersey." And Christopher, I want to know, will you be wearing that Stephon Diggs jersey on game days next season, or is this a jersey that you're adding to the collection and retiring it? Are you going to get a new one? Let's hear it. John says, "Hopefully Chase Claypool makes the team." I think that Chase Claypool probably will make the team. If I were to guess, I think he will make the team. Chase Claypool, big-bodied wide receiver, 6'4", 238 pounds. We know about the history of Chase Claypool. He called himself a top 3 wide receiver, and he's had a significant drop-off in production over the last few seasons. There's a lot of drama that surrounds Chase Claypool, but this is an ideal situation for Chase Claypool in Buffalo. You're lining up with Josh Allen as your quarterback. If you can't make it work in Buffalo, you're not going to make it work anywhere else. So Chase Claypool knows that he's probably down to his last situation here, last opportunity with the Buffalo Bills, and if you can't make it work, it could be the end of the road for him in the National Football League. I'm expecting him to put his head down and go to work, because if he doesn't, his days in the National Football League are probably numbered. Christopher says, yes, sir. Still going to wear that Diggs jersey. I respect it. When I went to the Bills store recently, I was at the Bills store at Highmark Stadium. Stephon Diggs jerseys, they were like real cheap. You could get them for about $15, I believe. If you look on the Bills store right now on their online website, you can find them for a good bargain deal. Maybe you could do like a tape over the Diggs and put Fitzpatrick or something. Whatever you may want to do with that jersey, I'm just letting you know. You can get one cheap on their store. Wow, maybe the Bills should be employing me, because I just gave their website, their store, a big time shout out here. Okay, so I want to talk to you about another signing that the Buffalo Bills made, actually, before we get into the future of the Bills. This is really interesting. The Buffalo Bills, earlier this week, they made the announcement that they signed Olympic gold medalist wrestler Gable Steveson to a 3-year deal. Steveson is someone who has not played football, and this is very similar to what we saw when the Bills drafted Travis Clayton out of the NFL's International Pathway program from London, England. So we have 2 players coming to Buffalo that have really no football experience, but they're freak athletes. You have Travis Clayton, who he's going to be an offensive tackle. That's a plan for him, at least. He has a rugby background, rowing background, boxing background, freak athlete, over 6 foot, 300-something pounds. Like, there's a lot of potential there. And then you sign an Olympic gold medal wrestler in Gable Steveson. So with Steveson, he was in the WWE for a bit. Olympic gold medalist wrestler. Obviously, those are some significant accolades and achievements to go to his name. And now he's a member of the Buffalo Bills. This is definitely a project signing. It could work out. It might not work out. In order to do this, the Bills had to cut Matt Hawk, their punter. And it's interesting. It's an interesting thought, because the Bills, they're taking some shots. Brandon Beane, he's really throwing some darts here. Blindfolded, throwing some darts. There's really no risk involved with these signings. You get Gable Steveson, you get Travis Clayton, 2 guys with no football experience whatsoever, but they're freak athletes. Steveson, like, it's interesting to me, because if you look at wrestlers that have played football, Brock Lesnar, he was in the UFC. He's a WWE legend at this point. What I know about him, he ended The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. Okay? Brock Lesnar, he played with the Minnesota Vikings, I think, in a few preseason games. I don't think he played in the regular season at all. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, yes, The Rock. He went to the University of Miami, played with Ray Lewis, actually. Didn't work out in the National Football League. I think he made a stop in the CFL along the way, and then became one of the biggest entertainers in Hollywood. Then you have Roman Reigns. He also attempted to make a career in the National Football League. Didn't work out for him either, and went to wrestling. So usually it's pro football players making the transition to wrestling. But here we have a situation where a wrestler, an Olympic gold medalist wrestler, is trying to make the transition to football. Let's be completely fair, be honest with Gable Steveson. The expectations for him are very low, but the ceiling is potentially high. He signed as a defensive tackle, so, it could work out. Obviously, as a wrestler, you understand that you need to get low. And everything about playing on offensive and defensive line, I played a little bit offensive line back in high school. So you just want to be the lowest man, the center of gravity. It's just physics. You want to have that low center of gravity in order to beat the man in front of you. The lowest man typically wins. Gable Steveson, he knows that. And that's something that he can be able to use in the National Football League if he's able to make it. I'm sure we'll see him in the preseason at the very least. 3-year contract. It's going to be a project. Expectations aren't high for it. But there's definitely some potential here. What do you all think about this signing? As a defensive tackle, yes. He is going to be a defensive tackle. Steveson did not wrestle that much because he lacked charisma. And you know what? That's fine with me. He's got the athleticism. You're not looking for too much charisma out of a defensive tackle, I don't think. So WWE is all about the entertainment. You got to be good on the microphone. Look at John Cena. John Cena had his, the Master of Thugonomics for quite some time. You had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who ended up being a star in Hollywood. Like, those guys, they're special on the microphone. They're obviously world-class athletes as well if you look at their body. But now, Steveson, he's got to make that transition to the National Football League. It's gonna be a bumpy road. It's gonna have some, like, you're gonna have to iron out quite a few things, quite a few wrinkles here. But it'll be interesting to see what he can do. I played a little bit of offensive tackle, and I did make a stop on the defensive end, but I was better as I'm not a bulky guy, but I'm strong. And I got the length, like 6'5". I'm not a 6'8" beast like Deion Dawkins or whatever, but I've got the length, and that's where they line me up. I wanted to be a tight end, actually, but for whatever reason, they didn't want me to play tight end. I've got the hands. Come on. Maybe it's my speed. I don't have the best speed. Gable's trying to bulk up, and yeah, he's going to need to bulk up. Like, he's not the tallest guy for a defensive tackle. I've seen some video of him on Sal Capaccio's X account, and that was today during practice. Sean McDermott stayed after practice doing some extra work with him. And if we know something about Sean McDermott, it's that he, as a head coach, also has a background in wrestling. So he could be the perfect mentor for Steveson in right here in the National Football League. Steph with his super sticker. I appreciate it. Really helps out. I love it. Thank you very much. And I'd like to see your thoughts on the signing of Gable Steveson, and what do you expect for the future of the Buffalo Bills? Bills fan 2020 says the Bills should sign you to the practice squad. Have you seen my short clips? I've posted some short clips of me doing a little tryout. I had a kicker tryout, which was a disaster. I couldn't make a 30-yard field goal. They're usually short, wide right a few times. I'll do a punter one soon, but I did quarterback. I want to be a practice squad quarterback. I tried out as a wide receiver. The Bills, the wide receiver room, it could have used me. I'm telling you, it could have used me earlier this offseason, but now they seem like they've got a good mix of players that have a lot of different skill sets. So maybe we'll keep that hope alive. Sign me as a practice squad player. Let's try it. I want to try out. Have you seen my 40-yard dash, dude? That's probably what's holding me back, honestly. My 40-yard dash, I released a video of my 40-yard dash. I did it on the field at Highmark Stadium, and it's probably one of the slowest in NFL Combine history. So I got to work on that for sure if I'm going to make that transition in the National Football League. But for now, I'm right here on the Bills Bunker, breaking down all the content and all the news that happens with the Buffalo Bills. So let's talk about the future of the Buffalo Bills. Starting off, in order to talk about the future of the Buffalo Bills, we need some more context here. So the Buffalo Bills this offseason, they lost a lot of several notable players. You had Micah Hyde potentially retiring. He could come back. He's 33 years old. He's had some neck injuries, stingers. I'd like to see him come back, but it would obviously be in a limited role. And at this point in his career, you just want to see him do what's best for him, whether that's retiring, coming back for one more year. That's up to him, whatever he thinks is best. You had Jordan Poyer signed with the Miami Dolphins. Tre'Davious White joined the Los Angeles Rams. Leonard Floyd joined the San Francisco 49ers. Stephon Diggs was traded to the Houston Texans. There were others as well. Mitch Morse, Jacksonville Jaguars. Gabe Davis, Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a lot of players that departed the Buffalo Bills this offseason. And with those departures, the Buffalo Bills definitely decreased this number. I don't have a finalized average age for this team right now because obviously the roster isn't finalized. We haven't even gotten to the preseason cuts yet. Right now, the team has 90 men on their roster. Last season, they had the fourth oldest roster in the National Football League with an average age of 27.3 years old. So pretty old roster last season. And a lot of these guys that the Bills had depart their team over 30 years old. Like Mitch Morse, over 30. Micah Hyde, if he decides to hang up the cleats, over 30. Jordan Poyer, over 30. Tre'Davious White, he's close. I don't think he's over 30. He might be. He's right around 30. Diggs, over 30. So a lot of the players that departed the Buffalo Bills were on the wrong side of 30, and now they're getting younger here. This team is definitely getting younger, and that's largely due to the fact that they made 10 draft selections here. In the National Football League draft, the 2024 NFL draft, the team made 10 selections on both sides of the football to address multiple positions of need. They picked up, on the defensive side of the football, guys like Cole Bishop. On the offensive side of the football, you got wide receiver Keon Coleman. The Buffalo Bills, they clearly had a plan this offseason, and that was to extend the Super Bowl window with Josh Allen in the midst of his prime for as long as possible. Josh Allen just turned 28 a few weeks back. Happy belated birthday, Josh Allen. He's still in the midst of his prime. And let's be real. Josh Allen, we know that he plays dangerous style of football. Things might happen. I don't want to talk about it. But, he plays a risky style of football. So with that being said, you want to have your Super Bowl window open with him while he's in his prime years for as long as possible. And in order to do that, the Buffalo Bills, they felt that they had to get younger. This is a complete youth movement in Buffalo now. They got rid of a lot of those aging veterans. They got rid of players on expiring contracts, and they brought in a boatload of new faces while also adding some low-budget, high-risk, low-risk, high-reward signings through free agency. So here you have a plan to get younger, maximize the window with Josh Allen for as long as possible, and I think that's the right thing to do. I want to know, what rookie are you most excited to see in the upcoming season? For me, I think the obvious answer is Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman is a player who, with that basketball background coming out of FSU, he's a wide receiver. The Bills got 33rd overall, traded down multiple times to get Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman's a really exciting player. We've seen him in his introductory press conference. He seems to have an infectious personality. Awesome stuff from what we've seen from Keon Coleman so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of that 17-0 connection. That's what we're calling it in Buffalo, the 17-0 connection. We've seen a little bit of it. Look at Keon Coleman wearing number 0, Josh Allen finding Keon Coleman. It looks good. It looks good, but we've only seen it in a very, very limited capacity, not even in live football action in preseason yet. So it's going to be a lot of speculation about what to expect to see from these two moving forward, but it's definitely going to be exciting to see Keon Coleman on the field here in 2024 with the Bills. Christopher says, I think that Tyler Bass can redeem himself this year. And you know what, Christopher? I agree with you. A lot of people, when they want to talk to me about the Buffalo Bills, Tyler Bass is one of the first people that typically get mentioned. Oh, you guys need a new kicker. I want to pull up some stats on Tyler Bass, actually, if you give me a moment here. Because Tyler Bass, he is one of the better kickers in the National Football League. I don't think there's any denying that. I've had him on my fantasy football team in each of the last 3 seasons. Now, maybe having a kicker playing in Buffalo where there's a lot of wind and a lot of weather, maybe that's not the best idea. But I do it anyways because Tyler Bass, I'm a bit of a Bills homer, and Tyler Bass, he is a good kicker. But the problem is Tyler Bass obviously is going to be remembered most for missing that field goal wide right in the divisional round game until he does something to redeem himself. So in order to redeem himself, I think he needs to make a clutch kick in a big-time moment. I don't think it can just be, okay, he has a great statistical season. He has to make some big-time kicks in order for him to redeem himself in the eyes of the fan base. I completely agree that he's one of the better kickers in the National Football League, but Bills fan 2020 says Sam Christopher, Tyler Bass is overhated and an underrated kicker in my opinion. I agree. Tyler Bass, he's a good kicker. He's solid. And there's a tweet about how he drilled a 70-yard field goal in practice the other day. But we need to see him go out there and make a big-time moment to not redeem himself in terms of his ability, because I think everybody knows his ability is there, but to redeem himself in terms of a legacy standpoint, because like Scott Norwood, it's a name that people don't want to hear mentioned, but that one kick in a Super Bowl, that's what he's remembered for. Wide right. Is it fair? No. But that's the way it is for kickers. Kickers need to have ice in their veins. They need to make big-time kicks. And, I mean, he shouldn't have even been in that situation in the first place in that AFC divisional round game against the Chiefs. He shouldn't have had to go out and drill that kick at that moment. But he did. His number was called upon. He didn't make it, unfortunately. He needs to find a way to keep going and to rebound from that. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. That's a lot. I imagine that's a lot on your mind. He haven't deactivated social media for quite some time this offseason. But I do agree that Tyler Bass probably will redeem himself this year. It's just he has to go above and beyond in order for him to be, kind of forgiven in the eyes of the fan base, the general fan base population, I believe. I know his abilities are good. But from a general fan perspective, I think a lot of people are going to have a hard time swallowing that pill and living down that moment. Again, Steph, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's see what she has to say. It says Cookie Coleman. That's the rookie that you're most excited to see this season. I agree. That's definitely the main like if you go to the Bills shop, the Keon Coleman jersey is one of the best sellers already. And he hasn't even touched the field yet, which is crazy. He's the younger cousin of CeeDee Lamb, who, I mean, if you're a Cowboys fan watching this, you might be a little bit worried about the whole CeeDee Lamb situation because there's a lot of expiring contracts on that team. They need to get a lot of deals done in Dallas. CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons. I think the odd one out would be Dak Prescott, obviously, because he's a good quarterback. Let's not deny. Dak Prescott's a solid quarterback, but when it comes in the big-time moments, where is he? That's just what it is. John Roberts says, I like Javon Solomon. Javon Solomon is an interesting option. Defensive end that was picked up on day 3 out of Troy. And Javon Solomon, he was very productive. He had a lot of sacks last season at Troy. And the thing about Javon Solomon is he's more of an undersized defensive end. I think that this is someone who's probably going to be utilized in Sean McDermott's defensive rotation right away. I guess Bobby Babich and his defensive rotation right away. This is a defense that historically loves to utilize multiple different players in different roles on the defensive line. And I think Javon Solomon, his potential is there, sky high. He might have to bulk up a little bit more, but he has a lot of potential. And this is a pick that I was really excited about. A pick that not too many people are going to talk about that I think could be a big-time steal for the Bills is actually the pickup of Cedric Van Pran Granger out of Georgia. One sec. I got this. The good old Georgia Bulldogs hat right here. Yeah, so Georgia Bulldogs, Cedric Van Pran Granger, the center, offensive lineman. He has a long list of accomplishments. He is very durable. Like here's all the information that I have about Cedric Van Pran Granger. Let me pull it up for you. Cedric Van Pran Granger is a player that I'm really excited about. So Van Pran Granger, 6'4", 310 pounds, 22 years old still. Played in 44 straight games. So obviously he has that versatility, kind of an Iron Man streak like what we saw from Jason Kelce of the Philadelphia Eagles, but not quite to the same magnitude. First team All-SEC selection, second team All-American selection, and in 2023, 0 sacks allowed on 485 pass blocking snaps. This is a player that he excels more in run blocking than pass blocking, but 0 sacks at the center position, very impressive, especially when you have to pick up on those blitzes from linebackers and you have to pick up on, I don't know, like a big-time nose tackle, a guy like an Aaron Donald coming your way after snapping the ball. It's not an easy position to play. You have this as well, the connection with James Cook. This is something I don't hear too many people talking about. James Cook and Cedric Van Pran Granger were actually teammates at Georgia. Now, having that connection with your running back, that center, having chemistry together, that is a big-time factor for any offensive lineman. And I think that's something that definitely played a role here in Brandon Beane making the decision to draft Van Pran Granger out of Georgia. James Cook might have had a little bit of say in that pick. Told him, hey, this guy's good. Keep your eye out for him. Fell to the Buffalo Bills all the way down in the 5th round, day 3. And it's crazy because we could actually be talking about him as someone that takes over as a starter this season. Probably not day 1, because I believe that role belongs to Connor McGovern, who was a guard, and now he's making the shift over to center. We've heard a lot about that, but Van Pran Granger, he could take over as a center, and I believe that that's the vision for Buffalo Bills. They want him to eventually take over that center position, obviously using a draft pick on him. And with that connection, him and James Cook from Georgia, it's something that could really contribute to his success here. Let's see what else we got here in the comments. Steph says the Bills should hire you for their media team. I think so. I think so too. I mean, I'm a team player. I'm willing to put in the work. So if the Buffalo Bills or anyone from their office is watching, I'm your guy. I'm your guy. I've got a background here in sports journalism. Took a program in Toronto. Sports broadcasting, social media, obviously, as you can see right here on the Bills Bunker. I've been doing this channel for a couple of years now. I've got the Instagram, Bumpin', Facebook. If you haven't followed me on all platforms yet, I encourage you to do so. Facebook page just started working on that a bit more, and Instagram's been running strong here over the last little while. But YouTube is the main fixture right here. Just working on spreading across all different social media platforms. And Christopher says, you definitely do belong on the Bills media team. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me, and I definitely love to work for the Buffalo Bills. That'd be a dream come true. It would be like when my introductory press conference would be, this is a dream come true. I'm just so happy and so blessed to be here with the Buffalo Bills. That'd be me. I'd be that guy. We got Christopher saying Cole Bishop and Keon Coleman. Cole Bishop's a great pick for a rookie to be excited about, because the safety position was definitely a position of need. Keon Coleman, we all know what he brings to the table and how the wide receiver position was really completely it's a completely new look without Diggs and Davis. We know about that. But Cole Bishop, coming out of Utah, he's a really solid safety who can play on all three levels. He can blitz. He can make tackles. He had tackles for loss. He can drop back, make some big-time interceptions. And with all that being said, Cole Bishop, exciting young player, and I think that he'll compete for a starting role on this team. We're definitely going to see him utilized in a lot of different packages, and I'm really excited for Cole Bishop coming out of Utah as well. This is someone that I at one point mocked him to the Buffalo Bills during my mock drafts, and I'm excited that the Bills picked him up. Are you going to be at the preseason games? I will be at the preseason games, 100%. I'll be going to the preseason games at home, not the one in Pittsburgh. I don't imagine too many Bills fans will be going down to Pittsburgh for that game, but I'll be going to August 10th against Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. I'll have a complete breakdown of Caleb Williams, and that's if he plays. But even if he doesn't, I'll have some clips of him taking the field or whatever. And then August 24th is against the Carolina Panthers, a team that really, they stunk last year. But Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, they have a connection with that team. Obviously, they both came over from the Carolina Panthers, and that's a team that I'm sure Buffalo and Carolina, I'm sure they wanted to play against each other. And as I've mentioned before, the teams do have a say in what teams they play against in the preseason. Obviously, for a preseason matchup, you don't want to go, say you're Buffalo, you don't want to go all the way across 3 different time zones to play against the Seattle Seahawks. It just doesn't make sense. So you're playing closer, teams that are closer in location, like Chicago, Pittsburgh, Carolina, stuff that's not too far away. We got some more questions here. Bills fan 2020, do you think Sam Darnold can redeem himself in Minnesota? He's still fairly young at 26, so I think so. Sam Darnold's an interesting player. Like, I've heard you say this before, and Sam Darnold, like, my hopes aren't too high for him. I'll say it like that. Do I think he could redeem himself? Sure. Do I think he's going to take over? Like, I think his days as a starter are numbered. We saw it last year. He's a backup for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not hating on Sam Darnold. Like, I think we've seen what we need to know from him. Sure, he has a little bit of untapped potential, and maybe sitting behind Brock Purdy in San Francisco was beneficial for him, learning from Kyle Shanahan in that offense. That could very well be the case. He's going to Minnesota. He's got Justin Jefferson there, who just landed that big-time $140 million contract extension. Do I think he can redeem himself? Maybe. But I'm not going to give you a solid yes on that because I'm not so sold on the idea. I remember Sam Darnold when he was with the Jets, and the Jets, disaster of an organization at the time. Let's not get it twisted. But he was seeing ghosts. I remember on that, it was a primetime game against the Patriots, but they got absolutely dismantled. And he said he was seeing ghosts out there. That's not something you want to hear your starting quarterback say at any point in time. But Sam Darnold in Minnesota, he's got the opportunity. He's going to have to compete for that starting spot with J.J. McCarthy. And it's going to be interesting. If he can win that starting spot day one, I think it's his to lose day one because I think J.J. McCarthy is going to have to come in and he's going to have to prove what he can do. Sam Darnold was signed for a reason as a bridge quarterback per se. He's got an opportunity to do it, but it could end up being like what we saw with Mitch Trubisky in Pittsburgh. And on the other hand, it could work out to be better. We'll see. My expectations for Sam Darnold, they're not too high, though. They're really not that high. Christopher says, I wish that we could pick up CeeDee Lamb. And I'm sure I would not be opposed to it at all. I would not be opposed to it at all. And I'm sure his younger cousin, Keon Coleman, would love that. But we'll see. I mean, it's going to be really hard for the Buffalo Bills to do that. And I do recall at one point this offseason, after the draft, Brandon Beane saying there's no trade coming. There's no trade that's imminent. So he could be speaking facts, or he could just be speaking some smoke, putting some smoke out there. Who knows? I don't think it's very likely that the Bills do acquire CeeDee Lamb, but if they do, I'd be ecstatic. It's just if you were to get a guy like CeeDee Lamb, you'd have to end up paying them a big time contract. Even the same with Brandon Ayuk or T. Higgins. So you have to take that into account. The Bills, if they make one of those big time trades, which I don't really see it coming, but who knows? I guess we've seen it in the past, but I'm really excited to see about the wide receiver core that the Buffalo Bills have now. Instead of having that number one wide receiver that you need to force feed the ball like a Stephon Diggs, now you have plenty of different options that you can spread around. You can spread the ball to. And I'm really excited to see what the Bills offense has. But obviously, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a CeeDee Lamb or Brandon Ayuk or T. Higgins in Buffalo. It's just not very likely. Judy Varco says, you know your stuff. Impressive knowledge of the base. Thank you very much. I like to think, I do a lot of study. I do a lot of studying. I do a lot of studying on the Leafs or on the Bills here. Sweet hat, yes. You got it. Yeah, I like this. I love this hat. I love the logo. The Bills logo, it's gone through it went through that change quite some time ago. I did that on this day in Bills history about this logo, switching the Charging Buffalo logo. I have a jersey with this alternate throwback uniform. I bought the Josh Allen one. The Josh Allen alternate throwback white uniform last season. And I didn't wear it. Well, no, I did wear it. I wore it to every game pretty much. But the Bills didn't wear it once. And I was a little bit upset about that. I love those uniforms. I think they're some of the cleanest throwback uniforms there are in the National Football League. I like to see them pay homage to the roots with this logo. But they didn't wear them once last season. I'd like to see them bring them back. Nancy says, thoughts on Ray Davis? Will Josh give him the touches he needs to be successful this season? 1 second. Go Bills. Okay. I think Ray Davis is a really exciting option for the Buffalo Bills in their backfield. Ray Davis, he brings another element to the Buffalo Bills offense into their backfield. I think that at 24 years old, he's someone who's picked in the 4th round by Buffalo. If you look at his college highlights, they're exceptional. His college highlights are exceptional. And obviously, like Ray Davis, he led all of college football running backs in touchdown receptions last season. He's an exciting player. Like you'll have to just go check out his highlight tapes after this because his highlight tape is crazy. I think that Ray Davis, he brings a punch mouth style of football to this Bills backfield. It's like if you look at last season, the Buffalo Bills, you had James Cook in the backfield, big time reception guy at the running back position. That's very impressive stuff, and that's similar to what Ray Davis does, but he does it in a different way because Ray Davis is more of a punch mouth running back than James Cook. James Cook is more of a flashy, elusive kind of back. You have Ty Johnson. He's similar to Ty Johnson, but with more skill. And that's not a slight at Ty Johnson because I like Ty Johnson a lot. But Ray Davis, he has a higher skill set than Ty Johnson, and he could be an electrifying player for the Buffalo Bills here. Will Josh Allen give him the touches he needs to be successful this season? I think Josh Allen, he probably had a say in who the Buffalo Bills drafted here. We know that he had a say in the Bills picking Keon Coleman. He wanted Coleman on the offense. I wouldn't be surprised if he said, hey, I really like the tape of this running back, Ray Davis. So I think that Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, is going to find ways to utilize Ray Davis into this offense. He's going to find ways to scheme him open. And it's going to be all about spreading the football on this offense. Like, it's going to be really unpredictable for defenses to pick up on. And that's the beauty of it. I think Ray Davis, he's going to be an interesting option for the Buffalo Bills here in the 2024 season. And I think he's going to improve as the season goes on. We've seen that with the Buffalo Bills running backs in the past. Like, they typically have a bit of a slow start, and then they start to pick up towards the end of year one. So maybe in the first few weeks of the season, don't expect too much from Ray Davis, but expect to see him gradually take on more responsibility and get some more touches as the season goes on. Is that a bear on your hat? You know what it is. It's a buffalo. I know you're kidding. Henny says, who will be Allen's go-to? And this is an interesting question, because in the past, it's obviously been Stephon Diggs over the last 4 seasons. Stephon Diggs, he led the whole NFL in terms of receptions over the last 4 seasons collectively. Now, no Diggs in this offense. Josh Allen, his go-to for the last 4 seasons, is gone. And then his next guy in Gabe Davis is gone. So, as I just said, the Buffalo Bills are going to be spreading the football a lot more going forward in 2024 and beyond. They added Marquez Valdez-Scantling. That's not your go-to guy. That's a guy who you target deep down the field, maybe 2 or 3 times a game. Keon Coleman, is he going to be your go-to guy in his rookie season? Probably not. Maybe. But the guy I really see, and I see Khalil Shakir in the comment section as well. Khalil Shakir, interesting guy. He definitely took on a bigger role as the season went on. But I think the go-to guy in this offense is going to be Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid, the tight end. Tight end Dalton Kincaid led the Buffalo Bills all-time. He set their all-time record in terms of rookie receptions last season. And he did that as a tight end. That's incredible. Dalton Kincaid, I think that, like Dalton Kincaid, we've seen, but the Buffalo Bills really haven't had that many great tight ends in their history. And now they finally have one in Dalton Kincaid, who has sky-high potential. This is a guy who the Buffalo Bills are really going to look to utilize next season. He took on a bigger role. I think he did take on a bigger role last season towards the end of the year, in the final half of the season, and so did Khalil Shakir. So those two are definitely going to get utilized more prevalently next season. And we have either Khalil Shakir or Keon Coleman. What about Dawson Knox? Dawson Knox, he's not going to be the go-to guy, but he's definitely going to be utilized in 2 tight end sets, a lot in the red zone. He's someone that's not getting talked about enough. And, he's an old, reliable option, still a really solid tight end. So those 2 tight end sets are going to be utilized a lot in this Bills offense. DK and DK, Dawson Knox being Donkey Kong. Dalton Kincaid, DK being Diddy Kong. It's like the older and younger brother, DK. I hear crickets right now. It wasn't very funny, was it? Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, those 2 really solid. But Dawson Knox isn't going to be the go-to guy. He'll be utilized a lot in the red zone. He'll have a lot of blocking responsibilities, and he'll have his fair share of receptions as well. I have Dalton Kincaid being the main go-to guy in this offense, and Keon Coleman, he could take over as that option later in the season. Khalil Shakir is definitely an interesting one, but really the answer to this, I don't think there is a clear number 1 go-to option in this offense. Like last year, you had Stephon Diggs. He was your go-to guy at number 1, obviously. And then towards the back half of the season, when Joe Brady took over, we saw that stop happening. Diggs got targeted less, spread the football a lot more in the offense, hand off the ball to James Cook more. I think that's what this offense is going to be about here moving forward in 2024 and beyond under Joe Brady. And we haven't even talked about Curtis Samuel at all. We haven't talked about him at all. Curtis Samuel is an interesting option as well. He's not going to be the go-to guy, but he's going to be someone that is utilized in a multitude of different ways. He has a connection to Joe Brady from Carolina as well, as he had his most productive season back in 2020 with the Carolina Panthers. Now, Joe Brady is going to be excited to utilize his skill set again, this time in Buffalo. If you look at his 2020 stats with the Carolina Panthers under Joe Brady, 77 receptions 851 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air, along with 200 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So 5 total touchdowns, over 1,000 all-purpose yards in 2020 with Carolina. Now coming to Buffalo with an offensive coordinator that he had his best season with. He's coming to Buffalo with Josh Allen, the best quarterback he's ever played with. Good things are going to happen for Curtis Samuel in 2024. I'm excited to see him in his first season of that 3-year contract. But the go-to option, I don't think it really exists right now. I think you're going to see a lot of guys. There's a lot of mouths to feed on this offense, and we haven't heard Joe Brady say that in a press conference earlier last week. Like we've heard a lot about how many different players are going to get involved on this Bills offense. It's going to be an exciting, electrifying unit to watch moving forward here, even without Diggs and without Davis. I think he'll get his opportunity 100%. Ray Davis is going to get opportunities. He definitely has the potential to be that workhorse back, but with how many backs the Bills have in that offense right now, James Cook, he's going to be the main fixture of the Bills offense right away. Ray Davis, he certainly has his opportunity to earn those touches as the season goes on, and I think he'll do just that. But right now, those touches are Ray Davis has to, he has to continue working. He's a workhorse. I want to see it. I really do want to see it, and he's going to have to take those touches away from James Cook as the season goes on. I've gotten this before multiple times. Anytime I go to a Bills game, I hear, Joe Burrow. If I was a Bengals fan, it would be funny because I'd probably get it even more. Like, I do get it in the comments section on some of my videos as well. It's pretty funny. That's for sure. So if you haven't yet, I encourage you, click like, share this video, tell a friend to subscribe to the Bills Bunker YouTube channel. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. Stay tuned for more content coming your way right here on the Bills Bunker YouTube channel and on the Facebook page. If you haven't yet, go over to Facebook, click like on that page, follow, helps out in a big time way. I'm trying to bring you the best Buffalo Bills content I possibly can in a timely manner. And tomorrow, I'll have another video being released about the future of the Buffalo Bills, what to expect from this team moving forward, and why this team is going to be exciting for years to come. As of right now, we're in June. So there's a lot of, at this point in time, it's just about speculation. And there's a lot of time that still has to pass for the 2024 season hits. But I'm going to be here creating content just like this, doing my videos, shorts, live streams, whatever it may be. Plenty of content coming your way. I want to show you this. For anyone that hasn't seen it, I showed this at the beginning of the show. So the Edmonton Oilers are in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Florida Panthers. Here's what their head coach had to say in the press conference ahead of the Stanley Cup Finals, and he made a little mention to the Buffalo Bills.
Experience is good. I don't know how much experience is beneficial. You can ask the Buffalo Bills how important Super Bowl experience is. But I think the biggest thing is just having confidence to play. And, when our guys are playing their best, they should have a lot of confidence.
Unbelievable. The nerve on this guy. Chris Koblak, the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, really just said that. Unbelievable. For context, the Oilers, they're playing against the Florida Panthers, who were in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. They lost to the Vegas Golden Knights. They're coming back with some experience in the finals. Edmonton, they lack that experience in the finals. Now they'll be taking on the Panthers, who I think have the better team. So that might be some bad voodoo against the Edmonton Oilers there. I want to know, who do you want to win the Stanley Cup Finals? 99 reasons why the Oilers suck. You know what? He's referring to the 4 straight Super Bowl losses when he says that experience didn't help the Buffalo Bills very much. I don't like it. It seems just so unnecessary. Doesn't it? That's all I got for you today. If you haven't yet, click like, follow, on the Bills Bunker Facebook page. Stay tuned for more content coming your way. I'm Jake Varco, signing off. Go Bills.
Go Bills. Look at this. Look at this crowd. Look at this.
Yes, it makes us wanna shout. Shout!
1, 2, 3, 4 years in a row. AFC East champs, baby. It's our division. Let's go.
This guy's shirtless. He's dropping in.
Let's go.
That's a nice show for you. Look at it. Beautiful. Honestly, one of the best things I've seen all night. Those fireworks right there.